Hello, everybody, and welcome to this live. I'm a couple of minutes late, but yeah, let's talk about how HD changed my life. So, just over a year ago, actually, about a year and a half ago, I started looking into my human design. And like, no wonder I held off for a good year or so because I was like, what even is that? What even is that graphic? What even does that mean? I have no idea. I'd been introduced to it by a couple of people and they just basically sent me my chart, which you may have experienced as well. Like, what is my HD? Here you go. Here's your chart. What the F does that mean? And so I decided a year and a half ago, after hearing it a few times, that I would start going into this experiment with HD and to see if this really works. You know, we hear of so many models and so many different kind of concepts with when it comes to consciousness, when it comes to finding our life's purpose and releasing our blocks and all these different things. And I, for one, as a coach, am extremely interested in so many different things, but nothing had completely fully landed for me because I always felt like there was little gaps, or it would resonate with someone and not with another. So when I heard about human design, it was kind of like this I was drawn into it, and then when I started looking at it, I was like, really? How the heck am I supposed to learn about what the heck this means? Like, there's so many layers. So today I want to tell you what not to do when it comes to learning about human design, what to do when it comes to learning about human design, and my own personal experience with it. So if you're here, please jump on and say hello. Hey, NJ, my beautiful mental projector. Excuse me. So how has human design changed my life? Okay, so human design has changed my life completely. So I have gone from making $30,000 in my business yearly to making well over $500,000 in this last 18 months. This is how fast my life changed around when I started experimenting with what it meant to do, what it was meant to play with my human design, my blueprint. Okay, so just before I go into a little bit more of that, because my experience will be different to yours, I just want to tell you a little bit of the background of HD. So just really super fast, because this is something that you can Google, okay? And I want to give you, from my expression, which is a little bit different. So basically, it's I Ching, Kabbalah, the chakra system, and quantum physics. And it was channeled in 1987. I've just got some notes because I want to make sure I get the facts right here from Ra Ruhu. So basically, it was channeled from like for a few days. Okay, so he went off into this beautiful spiritual journey and he channeled it through from the 3rd to the 11th of January in 1987. He changed his name. His name was Robert before this experience. And then what he did was he basically taught it for 25 years before he passed away. So this has been integrated since I was only a few years old. And just because it was channeled there doesn't mean that is where it began. It didn't begin then. It began way before. But the thing, I think it was like 1817, but don't quote me on that because I don't have that written down in my notes. But it has been around for quite a while, and there's many different layers of it. But the human race wasn't ready for it to land until that 1987. And now it is spreading like wildfire, because what Ra was actually told was this is a system that is crucial to helping people on the planet make vital shifts in consciousness for the evolution of mankind. And you may have noticed, if you're listening to this or you're on any of my platforms, that consciousness is the thing that everybody is focusing on and becoming more aware and more awake and more spiritually aligned, because the world is changing. We must change. We are changing, and we need and require a deeper understanding of who we be. Okay, so that's just that little tiny background. Like I said, you could Google it, and I want this to really be about my expression so you can understand it to make it your own expression as well. There is no right or wrong, there is no good and bad. We've been conditioned to believe that there are rules and regulations and density and a way things are meant to be done in a particular model. We have been controlled and manipulated and programmed to fit into a certain mold. And you can see this throughout all of history with all of the systems that have been put into place to make us stand and be in particular in particular like roles like mother and father, woman and man, and then atheist and religious and all the different things. We've been created like the separation that has happened in our realities to put us into boxes. And what human design is doing is it's saying, yeah, you're all unique, you're all different, you've all got a blueprint, and it's not to put you in boxes, but it's to give you a better understanding of what your true role is. And it's always going to feel good. It's always going to feel expansive, maybe a little bit scary when you go into an experiment of who am I? Who really am I in the core of who I be? Not what somebody told me to be with society or what my parents wanted me to be or what role I need to play as a mother or a daughter or a father or how intelligent I am to whatever kind of box I go into. But who am I in the core of me on a soul level? So basically, it is created the time of your birth and also around about 30 days before, or 90 days, around about 90 days, it's 88 days actually before you were born. We've got this unconscious and this conscious parts of us. Okay. So I'm not going to go too deep into that because as a human, we desire to know the nitty gritty. We want to know everything. We want to consume everything. And this is not what you want to do when it comes to human design and integrating into this experience, into this experiment of changing your reality so it fits better for you. What I desire for you to hear today is this is your reality. Your reality. You are the actor, the producer, the director, and the writer of your show. And what a human design blueprint, the graphic, the description gives you, if you know the exact time of your birth and the place of your birth and all of those things, you can just literally Google it, put it into a free little calculator and it spits it out to you. Like, it's really simple, right? Once you know that, you can navigate yourself even more. You can bring some of those unconscious things into light and you can see where you've been playing, where you've been conditioned, so you can see the conditioned version of you and the version of you, and then you can start to integrate more of what you are here for, your soul's purpose. It is a beautiful thing. So how has HD changed my life apart from giving me so much more ease and more money and more connections and more love for myself? It has given me a completely different way of living and being. It is like insane. It has actually given me permission to be aligned. So before I learned about HD, and I want to make this very, very clear, just if you don't know about HD, it doesn't mean that you're not going to be aligned. We naturally do this. I wrote this down. We naturally start to align when we are following joy, following our bliss and following our heart. We naturally start aligning to our blueprint of HD. It's not something you need to get. It's something that you be, and understanding yourself is the thing that actually helps you to integrate it more faster. Quantum physics, right? We can just collapse timelines. This is what a lot of the coaches are doing. This is what a lot of people that are going from 30K to well over $500,000 in years type of thing. That is what people are doing, is they're deeply understanding themselves more rather than trying to understand the world around them and how to fit into the roles. That paradigm is gone. This is why it's coming and spreading like wildfire now, okay? So what did I know before human design? So most of you probably already know that I'm a psychic medium. This has come down in my family line. It was kind of tried to be stamped out a little bit because of religion, but it has come through in my generation. My sisters and my brothers are all the same. And I knew that I was starting to live naturally as I meant to be, right? But I was still a little bit confused of why I was getting tired. Why the heck am I so tired? I'm exhausted all the time, even though like I'm doing all the things. I'm lighting up, I'm following my light and heavy, I'm doing access consciousness, I'm doing Reiki, I'm serving the clients I desire to serve. But why am I still so exhausted? Do I have chronic fatigue? So I knew I was starting to naturally be more of who I be, but I was still like, I was still really tired and grumpy and all the things. You know, I had these pockets of excitement, but yeah, I just fully couldn't, there was something missing. I also had the awareness that my chakras were different to other people's. Okay, so the chakra system is definitely a contribution when it comes to your blueprint, your body blueprint. We have got energy meridians, chakras, if you will, throughout our body. And I was aware that mine were different to other people because I was very aware that I was also psychic. I could read people's minds. I knew that a lot of the voices in my head weren't mine. Obviously, I could talk to spirit and all the things. And this was all before I learned about human design. So I just want to make it very, very clear that you don't need to know human design to know you. You know you, and then it all aligns in. Human design just helps you get there faster, right? Because you've got a blueprint of you, a roadmap to follow, to really get curious about. So I thought everybody was designed the same as well. I thought everybody was designed the same, and that if I could do it, they could do it too. They were probably psychic too. They could feel energy too. They could dive into somebody else and see different things like future events and stuff. I thought everyone was the same. I really did. And I started realizing that we are so different. So what is that difference? I got really, really curious. So I knew something really, really big was going to happen in my life. About 3 years ago, I knew something really, really big was going to happen. Like so big that I had to start getting curious on how I was going to help the world because I felt like that was my life purpose. So human design came along, like I said at the beginning, and what I did was I held off for quite a while, and then I just dove in. About a year and a half ago, I just dove in. I've got all the books under the sun. I've probably got about 5 books, got about 3 programs. I've had mentoring with a human design coach. Every day I look into human design, I just look at it and go, what the fuck? There's so much to it. So I've learned how to break it down for you. Okay, I've learned to break it down, and I'm going to tell you exactly what you require to focus on today. It's exactly what I'm focusing on. And I'm really happy and excited to announce that in Spiritually Aligned Membership, which is my paid group, my low investment group, I am going to be releasing little videos that goes deeper as you unfold yourself. Okay, so that is what I'm going to be doing. So there is now 9 centers instead of 7. Okay, so we are evolving as a human race. If you haven't noticed, you know, there's a lot of structures coming down right now. As a channel, I've been talking to the light beings, and they've been telling me and reaffirming and, you know, really kind of reaffirming to me that the structures are coming down. We're not here to fight against it. We're here to create new paths in a new way. We're here to come together as a community, as a whole, and go, who are we? And this is where HD gets really exciting, because there's actually 5 different energy types. So if you were kind of like boxes, like I was talking about before, if you were putting these into categories, like every single person, every single out of these 5 different energy types has got a different role. They have got a different way of living. This is the most crucial part of human design. This is number 1. If you don't get this right and you don't align to your energy type, and really, this is like a human body, right? It's like figuring out how the actual body works. So when you're a child, you've got to learn how to use the body before you go into the in-depths of all of the layers of what it means to be human. It's like a one step at a time process. And the biggest thing is to align to your energy type, where you have a particular way that you are designed to live. That's why some things feel really good in your reality and other things feel really not good. And then we try to make them feel good, and we try to like join in with, you know, the pack, so to speak, but sometimes it just doesn't feel good. That's why we kind of gravitate towards certain people and certain groups, because not everyone is for us, and it's the same with the energy types, right? But together we can come together when we know our strengths and be a contribution to each other. Now, the one of the biggest things before I go into the energy types that I want to explain to you is your aura is the thing that speaks louder than your words. Now, you don't need to know human design to know that, because more and more and more, as we're going forward and evolving, we are starting to become very apparent that the energy that we be is exactly how we're having communication. I was saying to one of my one-to-ones today, did you know that we're together even when we're not speaking? So whenever you want to call on me, I'll be there. My higher self goes over there, right? I'm an energetic contribution to my clients, to my friends, to my family. And she said, that's funny, because the other day I felt like you were right there with me talking to me. And I was like, because I was. This is where quantum physics comes in as well. We are not just solid beings having conversations, and this is our communication. We communicate with energy. And when we go into the meridians, it's not just the 7 basic meridians that we've been taught and they're out of balance or they're not out of balance. It's not that simple. We can go much deeper into that. But first of all, we must master what it means to be our own particular, special, unique energy type. Hey, everybody. Just having a look at all of the comments there. Okay. So what to do? Okay, so what not to do is to just kind of jump into HD, to study it, to consume every single little piece of information and hope that that's going to work and change your life. This is not how it works. A lot of people come to me and say, what do I do? What does this gate mean? What does this channel mean? What does that arrow mean? What does all of these numbers mean? What does this mean? And I'm like, let's start at your energy type. And they go, but I know what my energy type is. I go, are you living by your energy type? And they'll be like, oh. So as long as you have a good grasp on what your energy type is, and then every single day you try a little bit more and you try a little bit more and you get curious about how you're acting, what feels good within your body, then you get there, right? You get there. So there's 5 different energy types, like I said before. There's a manifest generators. There's a generators, there's a projectors, there's a reflectors, and there's manifestors. We all have different roles. The way this helps me in my business is because I talk to people differently, because everyone hears differently. I speak to people in a way that they can understand. I speak to everybody differently who comes into my coaching realm. And that is because everybody is unique and they hear differently and they require different things. We are not in one like box. We are all unique and we all hear differently. Now, once you figure out which energy type you are, you need to look into your strategy. Okay. And your strategy is all about what you are here to do. So as a projector, I'm a projector. And as a projector, I am here to wait for invitation. So somebody sees me or hears me and goes, Victoria, I want you on my podcast, or can I interview you, or can I work with you, or can we have a coffee? Then it's an invitation. I'm like, wow, thanks. Okay. So everybody has a strategy on how they are supposed to live in this reality, and that's what works for them energetically. It's energetically correct. But most of the time, we've been living as these conditioned, programmed beings to all fit into a box. The box does not fit us. It's like wearing the wrong shoes. It's uncomfortable, but you keep trying to wear those same shoes. Your energy type and your strategy, and you find this out by literally going to Jovian Archives or myhumandesign.com and getting your free design. And it's going to tell you what your strategy is. It's going to tell you what your energy type is, and that's where you begin, right? Now, you then also have a theme of you, a theme of your energy type. It's like literally given to you in instructions on how to be, But of course, we have to integrate it and align to it in a way that feels good for us. Feels good for us. Not everybody else, what feels good for us. And I'm going to tell you about what that is in a second, but before I go there, I want to also let you know that alignment, when you're aligning to your design, doesn't mean always just following what feels good, because good can be like a little bit of a dismissive, like, oh, I don't want to look at that because it seems too hard. I don't want to do that work, so I'm going to distract and I'm going to deflect and I'm just not going to do that work. So alignment doesn't mean not doing the work. Alignment doesn't mean that it's going to be easy. Alignment means that energetically, it's correct, but there still might be some work there. There still might be some resistance. To give you an example, my beautiful one-to-one client today, I said, what would you like to focus on? And I asked her, would you like to hear from your guides? Because her guides were just sitting there desiring to channel through. And she said, oh, I feel resistance. So we tapped into her body and she shut her eyes and I said, what would you like to focus on? And I really talked to her higher self. She goes, I want to focus on my guides and talk to my guides, but I feel resistance. So the resistance didn't mean that it wasn't in alignment. It just meant that she had conditioning there where she had some fear. So some fear of shining, fear of being bright, fear of success or failure. And we carry this fear. We carry it through our lives because of the conditioning and the programming, the control structures and systems that have been in our reality and our past lives as well. So alignment is doing the unsexy work and releasing the fear and dropping the layers and the barriers and opening your heart. And you may still feel a little bit of resistance, but it's about going forward and doing that thing, even if it's a little bit scary, because in your gut it's correct. And you will know if it's correct for you, because listening to your gut, listening to your knowing, which is what we call authority in human design, and everybody has their own authority as well. And you can see this on your chart when you get your free printout. So everyone has a not self theme and a theme. Okay, so the projector, so there's only about 20% of us are projectors. We're the newest type that have come through. We're very much these guides, right? Our aura is very kind of piercing. So we don't have this big aura. We like dive in and we can really see people within their aura. So our theme is to be successful. When I'm aligned, I feel success. Doesn't mean I'm not going to feel a little bit of resistance coming to get that success. That's the unsexy work I've got to work through. It's the deconditioning we called. If I'm not in alignment, my not self theme is bitterness. I'm like bitter as fuck, like not aligned as fuck, like my necklace is here. I'm bitter. I'm like, if I'm overgiving, if I'm too like tired, if I'm not feeling good about myself, I feel bitter about the world. That is how I know that I'm actually not in alignment. So things don't have to always feel good. They could feel a little bit crunchy, a little bit scary, but I will know if I'm feeling successful that I'm on the right track. But if I'm feeling bitter as a projector, then you need to stop. As soon as you feel you're not self-theme, you need to stop and reassess and go, is this resistance and I need to go forward and do the thing, or am I unaligned? I was very unaligned about, I had an experience about 5 months ago. It got me well out of alignment and I felt bitterness to my bones. And I had to go, is this resistance or is this unalignment? And I was like, this is unalignment. And I dropped what I was doing straight away because it's not the right path. Your not self-theme is purely here to tell you, hey, little knock on the shoulder, you're not on the right path right now. Course correct. It's that simple. It's a gift. So that's a projector, success or bitterness. Now the manifest generator and the generator, they're what we call generators. Okay. So a mani-gen is a hybrid and a generator is a pure generator, or of course we have emotionals as well. That's authority, which we're not going to go into today. But a mani-gen and a generator, they have got this beautiful big aura. It's like big, and it's very you can just hold so much in your capacities, right? And we're projectors like sharp and like kind of penetrating. The generator and the managing are like these big, they can hold so much. Their capacities are amazing. They've got lots of energy as well. If they are not in their theme, their not self theme is frustration. So if you ever meet somebody and they're always in frustration, they're always frustrated, they're always kind of moaning about stuff, then it quite possibly could be a managing or a generator, not living in their theme. Their theme, their strategy is to respond to the world, but their theme is to feel satisfaction. Now, my husband, he is a generator, and my kids are mani-gens. So when they're satisfied, they're just lit. Their auras like light up. You want to be in their energy because it's like 3 meters out of like bliss, like just hanging out in their aura. It's like, yeah. But when they're not in their theme, it's like literally like it feels like a dark cloud. I'm like, whoa. And they get frustrated. They get really, really frustrated. They also have this big like kind of fuck off energy, which is that kind of like gray cloud energy. And this is what happens when a generator or a managing is not following that energy of satisfaction, right? They're here to be lit. They're here to be like a lighthouse. They're here to be responding to the world around them, responding to the things that light them up. That is so important. And that, of course, that frustration is basically saying, you're not on the right path. You're not on the right path. Course correct, course correct. So the next one is the reflector. Oh my gosh. So there's only and by the way, mani-gens and generators are like literally like 70%, I think, around about 70%, or even a little bit more of the population. So the projectors, the manifestors, and the reflectors have all been kind of conditioned to be generators because that is the majority, of course. So someone like myself trying to keep up with these energetic beings, these big auras who are here to respond, of course, I can't keep up with the big boys. Like, it's just impossible. So I've experienced burnout after burnout after burnout after burnout because, and this is what I said at the beginning, I've been trying to function as somebody else in a different category that I am not, dismissing my own superpowers and functioning in a lower expression of who I truly am to fit into a category that I am not, right? So this is why human design and staying in your own lane and knowing what design you are, your energy type, and then doing something about it instead of being in your not self theme or frustration or bitterness is super important. So reflectors are only around about 1% of the world. Now, I know, I think three personally reflectors. I know 3 of them. And when you are with a reflector, it is like you're with sparkles. Like that's how I see them. I don't see their auras like the generators or the projectors, but I'm like, who are you? Like the point of a reflector is all of their centers, like I said, I'm not going to go into it, but this is how I explain a reflector, is they have no centers that are defined, which means they are like these mirrors to the world. Okay, so Michael Jackson, Teal Swan, they were reflectors. So they can reflect the pain, Michael Jackson, or they can reflect the truth as well, consciousness, which is how I see Teal Swan. Even Sandra Bullock, I believe, is a reflector. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But what they do is they can mold around different people and they reflect people. But anyway, I won't go into that because that's kind of going off my topic here. So a reflector, their theme, their strategy in life is to really just to be and they kind of like morph and change, and they're here to like really do what lights them up, because they can get lost in other people very, very easily because they have got so many centers that are open. They're very open-minded. They reflect things back, and they kind of they change the world. There's only 1% of them, but what they're here to do, like, is to feel in the element of surprise. So they're very, you can imagine like a person who's like, ah, hi, like they're in this surprise feeling all the time. If they are in their theme, they're like, ah, it's like the element of surprise. They're like fairy angels. And to be with one is exquisite when they're in alignment. If they're not in alignment and they're functioning from their not self, they can feel very disappointed because they can look at the world and be like, oh, what? What? But it's nearly like the world has got to them and it's really taken over the reflector, and then they're just reflecting back to the world. And there's some not great expressions in the world, as the structures are falling down. So reflector can really reflect that and feel like they want to die. Like sometimes they feel super disappointed, or they're like in this element of surprise. So if you are a reflector or a reflector and they do feel this deep disappointment, then they need to pivot. They need to find their lane and just to shift into the lane that is theirs, right? To find that delight and that surprise in everything that they do. A lot of people don't talk about reflectors a lot. I study them because I have them in my vortex and I can tap into them very easily being a projector. So I've got a lot of time for reflectors. And then, of course, we've got the manifestors. Manifestors are really here to initiate. They are here to initiate. They are the only energy type out of the 5 that are here to do the creating, okay? And many of us, including myself, I've pretended that I'm a manifestor for so long with building programs, with initiating things, with trying to collaborate and reach out to people and do this and be this creative, conscious creator. But the truth is, that's not what projectors are meant to do. We're meant to actually wait for invitations. It doesn't mean we can't do a live like this, of course, but because it lights me up. But it is the manifestors. It's the manifestors that were the kings and the queens in history. The ones that were like, okay, this must happen, this must happen, this must happen, this must happen. And they kind of hung up their hat and went, yeah, nah. And then the projectors came through. Now the manifestors are here to do what lights them up and gives them the sense of peace. It's like they've retired a little bit. So they can still create, they can still initiate, but you may have to go seek out that manifestor and go, yo, what are you doing? Can I have a bit of what you're having? Because you really fascinate me, right? So when I'm with a manifestor, especially in my coaching, this is how this impacts my coaching, is I don't tell a manifestor what to do. I ask them, is there anything I can do for you? Or what would you like to create that you have not yet even thought of? It's the manifestors that are the creators and the initiators. Now, a manifestor will feel anger. They do not like to be boxed in. Ever. Do not try to box in a manifestor. They will feel anger and frustration. Like they will feel all the things connected to anger. And if you are a manifestor or know one and you're especially children, there's a lot of children I know that are manifestors and they will smash down the walls. They will literally pack these massive tantrums. And the parents are like, what do we do? How are we supposed to control the children? I say, stop trying to control the child. Okay, because that child knows exactly what they require. And all they have to do is tell you, this is what I require. This is what I'm going to do. They're here to inform. They are here to initiate. They are here to feel in the energy of peace. And that is what we call their theme. Okay, so their not self theme is anger. Now, as you can see, you're only going to be one of these energy types, of course, so you don't need to remember all of them. But the biggest thing about HD for me and how it's changed my life is by coming into my energy type as a projector. There's many different things, of course there's the strategies, and then there's the theme of why you're here or how to follow your life for ease, of course. But of course there's the layers, there's different layers, there's different channels, there's different gates, there's different centers, whether they're defined or open. So the chakras basically is where we can have our programming and our conditioning, and we can start doing the deep, unsexy work. And this is where, of course, resistance comes in. So this is where having a coach or getting an HD book and going, whereabouts is my deep conditioning and where am I holding on to stuff that's actually not mine? So as you can start taking off these layers, this is what I say with my clients, these layers start coming off and they start coming through like a lotus. Like they start coming through and going, here I am. So they come to me and they think, oh, okay, I want the 10K business or the 50K business or a nice relationship or whatever it is, spiritual growth. And they think about the tangible result because it's a 3D mind. But what actually happens is they unlayer themselves to who they truly are. And that is where they get the feeling of the success or the peace, the surprise, or the satisfaction. So this is where the truth comes into HD and to our realities. And when you can master, and it does take about 7 years to master if you're consciously doing that, but if you can work on your energy type every day, whether you're a manager, a manifestor, a projector, reflector or projector, for the 5 of them, right? If you can see what you are and just focus on that for like 3 months or even like a month. What am I following? My strategy? Am I following my theme? Am I doing what this role is that I've chosen here? And if you feel good within your body, like really good, not like you're hiding anything or running from anything or distracting from anything, because we have got a lot of distractor implants. I talk about all of that in Magnificent Mediumship. But when we can start aligning to who we are, and it all comes down to self-love, then what actually happens is all the other, what they call variables, like how you eat, when you sleep, where you should live, who comes into your life, what you should be doing for a career, what your life purpose is, all of those things, they literally fall into place. And that is the biggest thing that I've noticed with human design is, as a projector, I am a non-energetic being. I do not have motors, we call them in HD. So what I do have is I've got this energy of seeing the other so clearly, and that's why I do mediumship. That's why I'm a channel from the cosmos. I like literally bring through light codes and help to activate DNA of other people so they can remember who they are. This is what my genius is. And the most interesting thing about it is the more I rest, I've been literally lying down, asked my husband for like the last 4 days, and I keep saying to him, not lazy, by the way, because that's one of my fears is being lazy, because people can see projectors as lazy because they do 3 hours work a day, usually actively like this. And then they make money because they honor themselves so deeply, where a generator or a manifest generator wants to work more than 3 hours a day generally. They've got a motor. They want to work out. They want to go for a run. They desire to get on and do the work if they're in their satisfaction. Like, my husband does not like me stopping work and going, hey, let's go to the beach. He's like, I just want to get the work done, Victoria. And I'm like, I need a rest. So when we can actually acknowledge that we are all different, we stop getting frustrated with other people and going, why are they doing this? Why are they lying around? Or why are they working so hard? Work less, work out less, or move more. We stop judging people because we are all designed completely differently. So HD has I'm so glad that makes sense to you. HD has transformed my life, and it's one of the scariest things that I've ever done, because you're telling a person who loves work and loves showing up and loves being seen and loves making a contribution to stop working so much. So then I think, well, how can I create systems and structures for the projector, for myself, so I can serve people and do it within 3 hours a day and still make multiple 5 figures monthly? How can I do that? And this is how it changes consciousness in the world, because we were taught to work at least 8 hours a day to get a job and to keep that job and to be secure and pay for our bills and to be, in this paradigm of work hard, then retire, then chill out. And I'm just like, that shit doesn't make sense to me. I want to enjoy my children now. How can I systemize stuff and make it easier for people around me? So I started creating these programs like Soulful Shift, which is free. If you haven't seen my podcast or my YouTube channel, go check them out. It's all free stuff to help you collapse timelines, to help you understand yourself as a spiritual being. And you can find most of that on, Release Your Blocks with Victoria Bond on Spotify. It's all free. I started creating in a way that felt so successful to me, whether I was getting paid or not. And then people start messaging me, asking me how they can work with me. And I'm like, what is happening? And my husband's watching going, you had a bath and you went to the beach and then you had a nap. And I'm like, I'm doing the experiment. I'm aligning to my design. And I'm lying there going, oh my God, I hope this works. Something has to pay the bills. And I'm lying in the bath, enjoying. I was taught that working was not meant to be pleasurable. And if I had too much fun working, I would actually give the person I was cutting their hair or doing a coaching session, I would be like, don't worry about it, or here's a discount, because I had fun and I didn't believe that I was allowed to have fun when I was working. That is how messed up my thinking was 3 years ago. I had so much fun cutting your hair, I'll give you 50% off. Thank you for seeing me. Thank you for acknowledging me. Thank you for being my friend. So I'll work for free. That is literally what my mentality was. And that is a conditioned mindset that, and some other projectors may have that wounding, actually all energy types, because we want to respond to the world around us. But if we learn to respond to ourselves and to know what the truth is when it feels good for us, rather than going into victim mode and going, all this shit always happens to me. I got so bored of that so quickly. I was like, yeah, I don't think anyone's going to do this work but me. So I dove into human design and I did the unsexy, and I'm still doing it every single day. I've just touched the top of the iceberg and I've been learning it daily and living it daily for over a year. So do not go into overwhelm. Do not think this is about the mind. This is an integration. On Spiritually Aligned membership, I'm going to be starting to show people the little tiny bits of HD to how they can focus on that and align to more of who they are. So that is what I recommend you do to transform your reality, is to look at yourself in the mirror and say, and I actually went into it because I was like, I'm going to do this, but I also want to do this for my clients because I want to understand my clients way deeper, because that is a part of my life, is to communicate and also to coach. Like, I'm here for that. Like, I will never stop. And what I did is I found something so much deeper. I found me, and it's still really scary to take the foot off that accelerator and say, actually, I'm allowed to rest. I'm allowed to take a holiday. I'm allowed to play with my family rather than giving because it's so much fun. What I've done is I've systemized and I've tapped into myself and said, do I want to do a live today? How does that feel for me? And I go, oh, I feel so successful right now. Go do the live. If I felt bitter and went, oh, I've got to show up and do a live in a group right now, then no one would hear me or see me. And even if one person actually hears me or actually sees me, and someone's life actually changes because they hear something that I say, then I'm successful. I'm really, really successful. And that is what my theme is. So go find out what your energy type is. Let me know what your energy type is. Put it in the comments. What is your energy type? Because if you can look at that and go, wow, I'm a projector, I'm a generator, I'm a manager, and I'm a reflector, you get a better, deep understanding of yourself, and you'll be attracting those people to you that really, really get you. I don't know what I'd do without my projector sister or my projector. One of my really good friends she's a projector. Like, I'm attracting more and more of them around, and I'm like, oh, thank goodness. You can understand me. So we're here to understand each other, to have grace with ourselves, to undo the conditioning, to find who we be, and to trust the process along the way. And I realize this has been a very long call, so I'm going to leave it there. And I just want to, kind of leave off with saying it is an experiment. So if you're a person who is, and it's your own experiment. So if you're a person who's like, oh, I want to do this, it truly does take a little bit of commitment. Like you may never go past the energy type. That's okay. Like that's maybe all you require to transform your whole life, and everything else just falls into place. But if you're like me and I'm a coach and I believe that this makes my coaching just 10 million times better because I know how to speak to people, then you may want to make this something that you bring into your life. And there's plenty of books, plenty of free resources, plenty of the original stuff on Jovian archives, and be patient. Now, my mentor, she said to me, my HD mentor said, be patient. And now I can look at a chart. And that's what I should say as well. You can get HD readings. So there is people that you can get HD readings from. I'm not currently doing them. I only do them for my inner circle groups. But, these people can look at your chart and read it like pros and tell you. And like I say, reach out if you want to know who does the readings, because there is a couple of incredible people I recommend that I've had readings with. And I would love to direct you in that way, especially if you want to know more about it as well. I know a really great page. And it's one of those things where I've had like 3 readings and people are talking about me by looking at my blueprint. And now I do readings for people and I'm just like, whoa, this is ridiculously accurate. So that would be the first thing you want to do, is get a reading and understand how this actually resonates so deeply to you, and then you go on the journey. It is absolutely magical. I'm just looking at these amazing, I think I'm a projector. You'd have to go and see if you are a projector. So I'm so glad that makes sense to you now, Brianna. Amazing. So yeah, Helen, you'd have to go check it out. Never presume you're something as well. I just want to let you know that, because I was 100% sure I was a manifest generator. Like, my God, I've got my shit sorted. I've got programs. I've got people. I'm doing it all. Underlying, I was tired. Thought everyone was tired. And then I realized, and I went to bed. The night I found out I was a projector and someone told me what that meant, I went to bed and I cried, and I didn't know if I was sad or I didn't know if I was relieved. Now I know I was relieved, because there was nothing wrong with me. My bloods came back fine. I know why I've had burnout. I know why I've had depression. I know why I've had anxiety, because my body was yelling at me, bitch, please help me here. Help me, let me sleep. Let me rest. You're not a manifest generator. You're not a generator at all, or a manifester. You're a projector. You're a guide. Go sleep and download so you can be the channel that you truly be. So that is my kind of channel for you, is start at the beginning, because all the intricate stuff is not going to land unless you start at the basics of who you actually are. Sending you so much love. Have a beautiful day, and I will see you next time.